Good morning, and welcome to your AI Daily Press morning podcast for October 21, 2025. I'm your host, Walter. We have a few key stories to cover today. Firstly, in international news, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is intensifying his efforts to secure international backing as the country faces an increasingly aggressive Russian air campaign. There are reports of a potential meeting between U.S. President Donald Trump, Russian President Vladimir Putin, and possibly Zelensky in Budapest, aimed at negotiating a peace deal. In other news, U.S. President Donald Trump has endorsed the AUKUS alliance between Australia, the United Kingdom, and the United States, while also signing a major critical minerals deal worth $1.5 billion with Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese. The meeting between Trump and Albanese was marked by a warm and positive tone, with both leaders expressing their commitment to strengthening bilateral ties and promoting cooperation on key issues. And finally, we reported earlier this week on the historic meeting between Ukrainian President Zelensky and U.S. President Trump, as well as the developments in the AUKUS alliance. We also covered the story of Australian Ambassador to the U.S., Kevin Rudd, apologizing for his previous comments about President Trump. That's all for now. Thank you for joining me on the AI Daily Press morning podcast. I'll be back with more news and insights throughout the day. This is Walter, and we'll see you next time on the AI Daily Press. Now for the latest in social and cultural news, here is Barbara Waters.
You, Walter, and then shall know what's right now. Firstly, the White House has sparked controversy with its plans for a new ballroom, with some critics questioning the cost and scope of the project. The new addition is expected to feature bulletproof glass windows and views of the Washington Monument, but concerns have been raised about the potential impact on the historic East Wing. In international news, the United States and Colombia are on the brink of a diplomatic crisis over the war on drugs. The feud has been simmering for months, with both nations trading barbs over issues such as military flights carrying deportees and tariffs. Colombian President Petro has been vocal in his criticism of the U.S. war on drugs, calling it a policy to control Latin America and its resources. And finally, former French President Nicolas Sarkozy has begun serving his 5-year prison sentence at La Santé prison in Paris. The 67-year-old was convicted of criminal conspiracy related to efforts to obtain campaign financing from Libya during Muammar Gaddafi's rule. As Sarkozy settles into his new surroundings, questions are being raised about the conditions he will face behind bars and whether he will receive special treatment due to his high profile. We'll be covering these stories in more depth throughout the day, with updates and analysis on our website and social media channels. Thanks for joining us this morning, and we'll see you again soon. Now, for the latest in business and finance, here is Louis Riskweiser.
Thank you, Barbara. Firstly, gold prices continue to rise as investors seek safe haven assets amidst growing concerns about an impending recession. According to John Smith, Chief Investment Officer at XYZ Investments, the trend towards de-dollarization is expected to gain momentum, with more nations seeking alternatives to the US dollar. This could lead to a further increase in gold prices. In Canada, a recent survey by the Bank of Canada reveals that businesses are becoming increasingly cautious about the economic outlook, with 28% of respondents expecting a recession in the next 12 months. Consumers are also anticipating a downturn, with 2/3 expecting a recession in the same time frame. As a result, spending intentions on discretionary items remain low. Meanwhile, in the U.S., trade tensions and slowing earnings revisions have led to caution among investors. Despite some optimism about a potential resolution to the U.S.-China trade spat, strategists like Morgan Stanley's Michael Wilson are advising investors to remain cautious due to unresolved risks. Earnings season is underway, with results showing 5% profit growth, above estimates for 3% growth. To sum it up, our key takeaways for today are: 1. Gold prices may continue to rise as investors seek safe haven assets. 2. Canadian businesses and consumers are preparing for a potential recession. 3. U.S. trade tensions and slowing earnings revisions are causing caution among investors. 4. Earnings season is off to a promising start, but unresolved risks remain. Stay informed, stay ahead. We'll be keeping a close eye on these developments throughout the day. Thank you for tuning in to the AI Daily Press Morning Podcast. Now for the latest in science and technology, here is Carl Starman.
Thank you, Louis. Firstly, NASA has announced that it's soliciting new bids for its planned moon mission, potentially opening up the contract to competitors of Elon Musk's SpaceX. This move comes as SpaceX faces delays in its current contract with NASA, and the agency is looking to accelerate progress and ensure that the U.S. remains competitive in the space race against China. In related news, NASA's ambitious Artemis program has hit another roadblock, while SpaceX's Starship is gearing up for its maiden voyage to the moon. The Artemis program, aimed at returning humans to the lunar surface by 2025, has been plagued by delays and budget constraints. Meanwhile, SpaceX's reusable Starship spacecraft is being prepared for its first uncrewed mission to the moon, marking a significant milestone in private space exploration. Lastly, we're seeing a shift towards a more collaborative and competitive approach in the U.S. space program. With NASA's decision to open up the contract and SpaceX's innovative approach to space exploration, it will be interesting to see how these two programs intersect and complement each other in the future. Will NASA's traditional approach prevail, or will SpaceX's private sector-driven approach revolutionize the industry? Only time will tell. That's all for today's update. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the cosmos. Until next time, remember to keep looking up at the stars and wondering about the mysteries that lie beyond our planet. Now for the latest in sports, here is Howard Closewell.
Thank you, Carl. I'm your host, Howard. Today we're summarizing the top stories from our recent publications. First off, we've got an exciting update on the ALCS, where the Blue Jays are predicted to take the pennant, but the Mariners are still in with a fighting chance. Our analysis suggests that the series will go down to the wire, with both teams giving it their all. In college football news, the University of Florida is on the hunt for a new head coach after a disappointing season. Several high-profile candidates are in the running, including Lane Kiffin, Eli Drinkwitz, and Jedd Fisch. We'll be keeping a close eye on this story as it develops. And finally, we're diving into the world of sports betting with a focus on point spread bets. Our experts warn that while these wagers can be exciting, they require caution and a deep understanding of the risks involved. We recommend shopping around for the best lines and avoiding parlays, which often don't accurately reflect the implied win probability. That's all for now. Thanks for tuning in to the AI Daily Press Morning Podcast. Stay informed, and we'll see you tomorrow. Now for the latest in travel and human interest, here is Charles Curl.
Thank you, Howard. First, we explored the world of intergenerational connection through a heartwarming story about embracing journeys that inspire and connect us all. Our second story took us to London's British Museum for the inaugural Pink Ball, an evening of fashion, art, and culture, where stars like Mick Jagger, Naomi Campbell, and Janet Jackson dazzled on the red carpet. Lastly, we delved into a complex and disturbing tale of deception, manipulation, and justice, as a man named Nicholas Rossi was sentenced to prison for raping his ex-girlfriend after evading capture for years through elaborate schemes and multiple aliases. These stories remind us of the power of human connection, creativity, and the pursuit of justice. Tune in to our full episodes for more in-depth coverage, and thank you for joining me on this morning's edition of the AI Daily Press. We'll see you again soon. Now for the latest in fashion and entertainment, here is Joan Streams.
Thank you, Charles. First up, creme de la creme of Hollywood gathered at the Academy Museum for a star-studded gala that raised over $12 million for the institution. The event honored music legend Bruce Springsteen and actor Bowen Yang, with attendees including Selena Gomez, Viola Davis, and Sydney Sweeney. In other news, Rebecca Hall stole the show on the red carpet with a daring, head-turning look at the Academy Museum Gala. She wore a Thom Browne masterpiece featuring a sheer tulle bodysuit overlaid with a trompe-l'oeil rendering of a nude female form, creating an optical illusion that's got everyone buzzing. Lastly, we're reminding you to stay beautiful inside and out, as we covered earlier this week. From skincare tips to the latest fashion trends, our newsletter has got you covered. Be sure to check it out for the latest deals, discounts, and reviews. That's all for now. Thank you for joining us on this morning's edition of the AI Daily Press. Now for the latest in nature and environment, here is David Atanacher.
Thank you, Joan. Firstly, an oil spill in the Amazon has raised concerns about the devastating impact on the region's delicate ecosystem. The incident highlights the need for urgent action to protect our natural resources and prevent such disasters from occurring in the future. Secondly, a recent study by the Royal Horticultural Society has found that nearly half of domestic garden space in the UK is now covered in impermeable materials, contributing to urban flooding and reducing biodiversity. The RHS is urging homeowners to adopt more robust planting and permeable paving solutions to help mitigate these issues. Lastly, the Brazilian government has granted permission for oil drilling near the mouth of the Amazon River, despite opposition from environmentalists and concerns about the potential risks to the region's ecosystem. This decision has sparked criticism and raised questions about Brazil's commitment to reducing its carbon footprint and protecting the environment, particularly ahead of hosting the COP30 climate talks next month. These stories underscore the importance of taking immediate action to address the environmental challenges we face. We'll continue to follow these developments and provide updates as more information becomes available. Thank you for tuning in to the AI Daily Press Morning Podcast. And that completes our morning podcast for today. Thank you for listening. Until this evening, I'm David Atanacher for AI Daily Press, the world's most unbiased news source.